of role does religion play in today's society, especially here in Sri Lanka? We've seen several youth uprisings, communal tensions, a war that lasted nearly 3 decades but ended in 2009. And today we're faced with a crisis in terms of the economy. How do we solve these issues and how do we come out of it? Does Sri Lanka require an attitudinal change for its citizens? Or does religion have to play a bigger role? To talk about all this, I've invited to our studios Venerable Galkande Dhammananda Thera, the founder and director of the Walpola Rahula Institute. A very warm welcome. I most respectfully welcome you to my program at Hyde Park. Venerable Thera, I think before we talk about the topics that we wanted to touch upon today, the Walpola Rahula Institute, it's actually a merger of the Buddhist Study and Research Institute founded by the late Venerable Walpola Rahula Thera himself. What kind of work do you do? Because I've visited the institute assuming it's a temple, but it is not. And you have very, you don't subscribe to the conventional practices here in Sri Lanka. So let's start there.
Yes, yes, Venerable Professor Walpola Rahula, he is the one who founded this institute. Originally it was named as Buddhist Study and Research Institute, but he could not start any program because he was very old then, and once he, after his passing away, then I got the opportunity to start programs. And in fact, when Venerable Walpola Rahula passed away, then I was very young. I was not grown enough to lead an institute, and it took time for me to, and then what I saw, we all experienced the armed conflict here, and and once it was over, I mean the armed conflict was over 2009, we thought there will be a good, but it didn't work, and again the tension started, and there we found, I was thinking for a long time, what is the role of religion and what is my role, right? Why I am a monk.
As a bhikkhu and as a monk in Sri Lanka.
That's right. And then I thought, no, this is the time to start, not just an institute, not just a temple, but something that responds to this situation, find a way out, a solution. That is how this Walpola Rahula Institute came into existence.
May I ask you which year this was?
2014 we started properly.
Yeah. And which year were you ordained and how old were you?
Then I was 13 years old, 1983.
1983,
yeah.
And you worked and very closely with the late Professor Venerable Walpola Rahula himself.
Yes, I was with him. I was living with him at the place where Walpola Rahula Institute now. Yeah.
He brought about many changes. He was instrumental in changing the mindset of many devotees here in Sri Lanka. But as we talk about today's role of religion and society, before we talk about that again, here we are faced with an economic situation that needs to be rectified immediately. We see the blame game here, ongoing blame game. Government is blamed or the opposition is blamed, and now the new trend is that the people is also blamed. Yes, for the decisions that have been taken in the post-independent period. But throughout the work that you do, what do you see as the biggest challenges that we see here in Sri Lanka?
Today, as you rightly pointed out, the economic problem we are going to face, and it is very visible now. There is a problem, and the price hike will be there, and then the maybe perhaps food scarcity, and I think this is a real problem. We had problems. I have some doubt whether they are real problems, but this is a real problem that we are going to face. And there, I think, I always think from the religious side, what is its role, right? Why, there I think the attitude change is very much needed. we have to come together, we have to work as a team, and then only we can come out of this situation. And blaming and passing the responsibility to this person, that person, this the bureaucrats and all that, politicians. No, we all have to take the responsibility, then only we can move forward. And I think this is the opportunity. At least this is, we have to take this as an instant chance for us to realize the situation and work as a team.
You say this is the opportunity, but a lot of people say when we watch news or when we talk to politicians, the common perception now is that there's nothing that can be done, that the country has run down to a state where we cannot rectify this situation. But then again, you talk about an attitudinal change that we need. Why are we looking at an attitudinal change now, especially to rectify this issue? We're trying to understand this, Venerable Thera. We see protests ongoing at places when a pandemic is ongoing in the society. So there must be frustrations faced by those segments of society too. But is that the way we approach solving issues, or do you have a better answer for what we're faced with now? Well,
yes. What I feel, one thing I have to highlight, now we cannot do anything, and I do not accept, I mean, the nature, as I understand, the nature is the continuous change, and now we have come to kind of, going deep down, but it doesn't mean we are going to fold, we can change. Right, we can come together and change it. Whatever the even in the worst scenario, we can change it. We have that capacity. Now, as you asked that, what I like to highlight, not to just expressing our frustration won't help, right? And it will sometimes worsen the situation. What I emphasize, take, instead of, expressing your frustration, think of how to, even you were talking about protest and all that. I think that is a way of people expressing their, and to the rulers, and that I don't have any problem. But even when you protest, it should be kind of healing protest. That means the protest itself should show that you are in the process of building the solution, not destructive but constructive, right? When you have a protest program, you block the road and disrupt the old what is happening, and you are saying the development is going down, no salary is not. But even in that protest, you are doing the same thing, that damaging the economy. So how to do that without destructing? This is quite thought-provoking. Be constructive even if you protest, and not destructive, because we're talking about how the country's economy is at a standstill, and yet you're creating more obstruction to the economic activity by these protests. But the role of religion here, I know you work across the country with communities very closely. When I visited you, Venerable Thera, at the Walpola Rahula Institute with a friend who introduced me to you, I remember asking her whether this was a temple, and she very kindly explained that no, this is an institute. And you also don't subscribe to our conventional practices and rituals. As a Buddhist monk, you're not very happy with the white cloth, and you prefer to have equal sitting spaces and not a higher elevated seating space for you. Where does this thinking come from? Well, as I, even in earlier answer, we have to show that I represent the answer, and I am part of the solution, not the part of the problem, right? But all these white clothes, levels maintained, and all these are not part of the solution, but part of the problem. That is
how does that become the problem? I'm just curious because these are rituals practiced in Sri Lanka over time. Yes, Buddhism is really not this is the surface of Buddhism that we practice. I strongly believe in the philosophy that a lot of people study, but do we not need these rituals for the sustenance of the religion in
philosophy
society?
And ritual should not be two different, there should be kind of connection. And Buddhism talk about the equality kind of, we do not discriminate based on one's birth or caste or gender or anything. Then why we maintain such differences, right? And
even for a Buddhist monk?
Yeah,
so even for a Buddhist monk, you don't.
Well, we have to show the minimalism or simplest way of living, right? So my respect or my something that you can respect should not be achieved through making a big chair. So that is the way I work and the way you feel, and then the respect will come. And respect doesn't mean that all these material things. And the other thing, I want to make a safe space, right? And you feel that I am not alien or I am not welcome this place. So I am welcomed in a different way. But my intention has to be make you comfortable, right? If I maintain kind of place that if you are a woman, you have to dress like this. If you are a lay person, you have to sit there. And I'm a monk, I have to be here. And then, I think it is not welcoming. So, what I feel, all these things have developed over time. These are cultural things. And what I think is to go back to the original message and introduce a culture that everyone feel comfortable, and then we can discuss. So when you come to Walpola Institute, you will feel that it is done mindfully. And anyone who comes, we take maximum effort to let that person feel that I am welcomed here, I am safe here.
You said go back to the original message. Have we not grasped the original message of the Buddha? We're talking about this is a country where religion is respected, practiced, at even whether it's at ritual level or whether it's through meditation. We call ourselves a Buddhist country. That's written in the Constitution, but we see uprisings, the most number of uprisings in the post-independent era. A war, as I mentioned when we began the program, Easter Sunday attacks, where people are still searching for answers, let alone healing them. But let's just talk about Buddhism itself. I don't want to talk about other religions because you represent, you're a Buddhist clergy. But go back to the original message. Where have we missed this?
See, after independence, what I have seen, the gap between two bloodshed is 7 years. Okay, if you count and average time period that we have, it is 7 years only. Within 7 years time, we have gone for bloodshed. This is the country, and we talk about Buddhism, and we have the constitutional things, and and we have buildings, we have walls, cloud walls, but then how this much of bloodshed happen?
We talk about loving kindness, metta.
Yeah. Then we have to think there is something wrong in our, this is where I feel that maybe the approach, and then, we ourselves say that this is the word we use it, the Nirmala Buddhagama, pure Buddhism. We say that, and it doesn't reflect the way we behave in the bus or in our office, or and even the way we solve our problems. Then
so does that mean now people believe that there is what is called Nirmala Buddhagama, pure Buddhism, and something that is impure? Did the Buddha himself segregate Buddhism in such a way?
Well, no. What has happened over time, cultural things have developed, and And what I feel, we have failed to go, they bring the original teaching, the original message, and then to implement it. Maybe they are there in the in textbooks, okay, but when how to implement those things, there we have failed, and we have to accept that. Yeah.
Your older brother was killed in the height of conflict at a very young age. He was a police officer.
Yeah.
But when I visited the institute last year, in fact this interview, we were supposed to have this interview last year in 2021 as the first program of the year. Somehow due to consequential delays, we couldn't. But there I met a young lady who visited you, a former member of the LTT outfit, a child soldier back then, wounded. But I understood with the conversation that I had with you that day that you have visitors of different faith. They don't necessarily have to change religion or to be a Buddhist to visit the institute. But how do you maintain that relationship? I'm sure your family, this was a big blow to your family also, that they lost a son in the war, a war that was fought against terrorists. And here you are welcoming former members of the LTT outfit. What kind of work do you do? How do you work with them?
Well, I think that comes from, from the Buddhist philosophy, and it teaches us very well that there is no such terrorist is born. There are no terrorist children. Children are born as children, innocent people. In the process of their development as children, and then the grown-up people, the situation creates, and the education and the role models they have, the stories they have heard, all these things create such a person to take a gun. And when you know the process, the Angulimala story, Angulimala Ahinsaka and the best student in the group, and gradually at the end he become a murderer, killer. And the king intervened to remove the result, that is the murderer. The Buddha intervened to change the causes, then the people who are affected by the murderer and the murderer, the Buddha intervened to save both, right? And this is the model that comes in Buddhism. And for me, yes, my elder brother faced that, situation, and many other people died in the war. And it is our duty to create a world that stop the repetition of such thing, right? And how to do that? That is with love and kindness, embrace, inclusiveness, and practicing that. And the person that, if I am okay to mention her name, Radhika. Radhika is the one you met there, and so many more. And I don't have any animosity, anger, anything. I see they are like any other child and any other young person, and it is our duty to practice what we preach, the loving kindness. That is how I work, and it is not personally myself. It is there will be more people, and that is how the Radhika doesn't feel uncomfortable there, and you saw that she is very comfortable, and we can do, and we can do that.
You have been a vocal champion of reconciliation, the need for reconciliation here in Sri Lanka, but is it just limited to reconciliation? I know that the Sri Lanka Army also worked, directed several projects towards reconciliation here. But if we talk about if we move inside to look at the inner side of the wounds that were created, are they really healed? You work with these communities. And also, it's not just the north and east, but when we talk about the southern, the rest of the country, the majority of the population too, have they come out of the difficult situation mentally, the kind of animosity that was created? Are these tensions healed today?
No, I don't think. I mean, I don't see a successful effort or successful, not success. What I want to say, mindful effort to reconcile. It is not the material things that go there and distribute things and help to build a house. It is not. Wounds are there in their heart, right? So, with material or money or financial things won't help to heal, right? And then what I think, it has to be the genuine effort to go and work with them. And during our work, we were very mindful how to do that. We never take grants or funds from any organization or government. We depended on people. And when we go to the areas to work, we avoided army camps, police stations, and the Buddhist temples erected with the support of army, or we avoided those places, and we went to people. And what they offer, we had as and what we have, so we showed our effort is genuine and honest. And I think that is what the difference. The other programs, or there will be more programs like this, but most of the government supported programs and the way our approach.
What do you mean by mindful programs? I understand when you say that there should be a genuine interest towards reconciling the people, healing them, but when you say a mindful program, how do we be mindful in this situation? Well, we need a framework, you say, Venerable Thera, but we are talking about a countrywide framework, because it's not just the wounds of the LTT situation, the war, the civil conflict that we had, but also in recent times, the Easter Sunday attacks. We still have so many wounds to be healed.
Yeah, when you are wounded, the wounds has to be healed, right? And there is a saying, every story has to be told, and there should be someone to listen to that story. So every wounded person needs to be healed. If wounds are not healed, and then what happens, those wounded people start wounding others. That is the circle. Then, as you rightly said, those who are in the Easter attack, wounded people, and not only that, 1956 onwards, how many times people are wounded, right? And the 83, and then 1971, and 87 to 90, and all these incidents, so many people lost their loved ones. And have we taken genuine effort to, to truly understood that wounds have to be healed? If wounds are not healed, they will start wounding. It doesn't mean those wounded people come out of and out to the road and do something. It is not. If that person is a mother, she will wound children. Right? She will be harsh and tough and then the children are wounded. So gradually at the end we will not understand why these people are so aggressive, because so healing is very much needed. And if we take this Easter attack, and I see so many people are with wounds, their wounds have to be healed. No one has the right to just disregard it and go. They should be healed. For healing, they need to be told what happened, who did it, and kind of justice for them to, because they are accountable to those who died. They have, right? And then they cannot just be silent, because for that they need justice. I think that is.
We know that the Cardinal himself is calling for justice. So you believe that justice justice should come in the form of informing, of telling the victims and their families what happened.
What happened? Yeah, because they have the right. They are the people, because that connection. They have to, their loved ones, son, I am working for, and to know what happened to you, who did that, you know, for their healing, that story has to be told.
How would you approach the situation of healing this nation entirely, Venerable Thera? Now, these uprisings we're talking about post-independent era, youth uprisings to these extremist attacks that we didn't see in Sri Lanka before, but extremist units and outfits are being developed across Sri Lanka. We know this, that's what's spoken on the news too. Shouldn't we go to education at a very young age, at grade 1 or even from preschool? Is that the approach, or should there be a different approach in your opinion?
Well, there will be multi-pronged, you know, because when you mentioned education is very important. Our education, you know, very divided communities are created. School is the place where you are given the necessary tools to work with other, you know, in the world when you come out from the school and with the community. And if you are grown up, if you are with the same community and the religious, you know, and then if it is Buddhist, all the Buddhist practices, taking 5 precepts at the very beginning, and then the Bana and all these things. And then if it is Islam, they will have, you know. And at the end, what happens when you come to this community, you are not trained, you have not equipped enough to work with other communities. So there will be, you know, you will see your own people, you know, there only you will feel comfortable, and you are not comfortable other, you know. And this thing I see when you go abroad, go to the other countries, and Sri Lankan people, when they go there, they try to be always, you know, if they are Sinhalese only, and Tamil people only. Not only that, even I see, they do not even try to, you know, appreciate the food culture of their, you know, they try, you know, maintain what, you know. I think education, it is not just telling, but practical manner, take students to, you know, experience, you know, how other, you know, and that kind of education is needed. And religious institutions, we, you know, very honestly, we have to, you know, accept that we have failed, right? We have to accept that, because repeatedly bloodshed, it is going on, and now this extremism, and I think we have to think very seriously, and then how to communicate our religious messages, and without dividing people. And I feel I have to, you know, mention this in several places. Religious, you know, without, you know, unknowingly we are dividing people, and later on we teach them, we try to tell them, you be friendly, and, you know, but without, you know, if we can stop dividing people, and that itself will be helpful to, you know, people to live together.
It seems that we need a massive project or a program or a framework in order to rectify this. But when we start this, should we go back to the Constitution? Because we know the tensions that were created with the Sinhala Only Act. And then we are talking about other people of different religious faiths in Sri Lanka. We're talking about a majority religion, a minorities, and we're talking about communal tensions. With all these tensions, how do we go back to basics, and where do we start? And also when we talk about education, Venerable Thera, I was fortunate to go to school with people of different faith and communities. But here you very rightly spoke about the divisions in religion and how that is instilled in the minds of children at a very young age. But how do we start bringing this together? Because this seems like a big mess here.
Yeah. Well, to start, I think, you know, every place, if it is religion, if I am a religious person, there I have to start. You are a media person, start here. And if you are a university academic, start there, wherever we are, and whoever watch this program, and I invite, start from your place, and you know, without passing the ball to the other, take the responsibility, and during our lifetime, contribute as much as possible to change this. And that way we can go ahead you know, that will reflect in the, you know, in elections and constitutions, and all these things will, you know, come when we start from our places.
What is your opinion on efforts in drafting a one country, one law bill?
Yeah, well, the way it came is little bit, you know, if you really want one country, one law, the approach has to be very honest, and it should convey the message that this is very honest effort. Anyway, you know, basic things has to be you know, common to everyone, and there will be certain things that doesn't go in the basic things. I mean, you know, allowing the cultural practices of different communities, and you know, I think as long as they are not harmful to the basics of the, so that is how I say.
Right. We'll talk further. We'll be back after this short break. We are in conversation with the Venerable Dhammananda Thera. We'll be back. Welcome back. We are in conversation with the Venerable Galkande Dhammananda Thera on the role of religion in today's society, how we can overcome challenges Sri Lanka is faced with. Venerable Thera, I think we were talking about the constitution, but I'd like to just further ask you whether there is anything we can do through a constitutional solution, because we see that some of these issues were created as a result of constitutional amendments that were brought about. Yes, we see the constitution being amending right throughout, but where do we start here? There should be some point in bringing about change, or the attitudinal change that we require for the people. In order to enable that, what should we do in terms of changing the constitution?
Well, constitution is the basic, you know, that is where, you know, legal system, right? So it is very important. It has to be very inclusive and making everyone to feel that we all are equal, and there is a system for justice, and everything has to be protected, human rights and all that. And if someone is, you know, someone's right is discriminated based on the birth or whatever, there should be kind of process to go, you know, rectify it. That is, so the constitution is very important. But the constitution only will not solve the problem, and how many times this constitution has, you know, have been amended, and you know, and then but I feel the change of the attitude, that is what we need. And if we need, I mean, the constitutional change, instead of introducing clauses like Buddhism is supreme, or the government's duty is to protect it, or, you know, instead of those things, can't we bring the teachings that is common to everyone, relevant to every one of us, that is the equality and non-violence, and that there is a very beautiful teaching in Buddhism, Attanang upamang katva nahanaya naghataye. Take yourself, you know, as an example, and don't do anything that you don't like to experience. You know, that kind of things bring into the constitution, instead of adding sentences that the government's supreme task is to protect Buddhism, and what is there to protect, right? There is nothing in Buddhism to protect, but it is to practice. So these are the areas, I think, that the very beginning you asked where in Buddhism, when we talk about Buddhism, what we do, more and more visible things, and even the clause that say that Buddhism is protected, safeguarded, and all these things. But instead, you know, what I suggest, instead of that kind of things that you can show others, see the Buddhism is, instead of bring those values in the constitution and bring those values into the institutions and schools, and that is what I suggest.
The Buddha's teachings talk about the Dasaraja Dharma, the 10 Buddhist virtues for a ruler to rule a country. But being a Buddhist country, we talk about a majority of people of Buddhist faith. But is this implemented? Shouldn't the mindsets of politicians be changed? Or is that even possible?
Well, here I want to highlight the Dasaraja Dharma. Those things are for monarchical states. I mean, then there's a monarch, right, that a king, and then once the how the power pass to the next person, it is not people's elected person but the son of the king, right? We have to be very mindful about we are not in the monarchical state. This is a republic and the people elect, and there we can take, I mean, this is the base that when we try to, talk about. Here, I think the world that we are living is the people. As people, we are powerful. We can send the ruler back within 6 years, but if it is a king, we cannot. We have to bear. So, what I suggest, more go into the basic teachings, and there metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, loving kindness and compassion, and then equanimity, all these, bring those into practice. And ruler, about the ruler, the teaching is Buddha is not the owner of the world, but he is a custodian. The power is given to him to safeguard the whole world. I mean, world mean not only human being, but the other living beings, the environment and everything. And here, Buddhism is used to come to power, and Buddhism is not regarded as the way we discuss here. It is just a tool to come to power, and we see every election religious feelings are used to instigate certain maybe the fear and protection, and then get the vote, and after that so here what I feel religion is using as a tool and not yeah.
You reminded, you're reminding us about the power that people have in a democratic society, and the fact that we can vote in or send a government home. But for decades we've been voting in and then complaining about a government or the kind of measures that they take, and continually we blame the political system. Again, if we talk at length about the attitudinal change that we need for the people to make them understand that they have the power to make changes or bring about the changes that are required in the country, or even to create that harmony, a unified country. We're talking about the Sri Lankan identity, but where did we lose this identity?
Well, the Sri Lankan identity we have to create. Right, that there's a word, right? Statecraft, right? It's a craft, because when we were, living in villages, we think as villagers, right? And then you have to develop those ideas. We are people of one country, and then we have to share and that we have to mindfully do. And if you don't do that, I mean, it is. Here I always emphasize what we do. Here I am in a media center right here, Derana. Then how Derana does that? Okay, that is what I need. Everyone to take the responsibility and to work for that. And the unity and the one country, all these we can create more than before the media can do that. And I propose, take this very seriously and intervene. And if we work for 10 years, we can do it. This is my opinion. I'm not pessimistic. I believe we can do.
You're optimistic about this situation and that we can come out of this.
Yeah.
What is the answer, Venerable Thera, to the question of extremism? We see youth being radicalized and they resort to violent acts in the name of religion.
Well, yeah. There are such people in the world, and certain groups may be with vested interest use these youth for their, achieve their goals. But the answer I like to highlight the way Christian people, Catholic people responded when the Easter attack happened. They, the attacker won't hit back, right? That means by attacking a religious place, what he expects you to respond, that is to attack that community or destroy. But the Catholic people and the leaders, they never did that. And even the Katua Pitiya, when we go to Katua Pitiya, you have to pass Muslim village, Muslim village, and then the Katua Pitiya. Not a single Muslim person was attacked. And that is how I think to face the extremism. The extremist people, you can find some extremist and use such people to attack and instigate anger and hatred. But if the community is mindful and they can, not to let that, if you attack back, then the extremist group is victorious. And, that is how I feel. What so far we discussed, our approach has to be changed, the way, the education and all these things, and as a group as a community, more attackers will come, who knows, right? And how we are going to respond, not to, what they expect is to attack ordinary people, make anger and hatred and to attack people, refrain doing that. And that was done by the Christian people, Catholic people. That's a great example.
But somehow that exemplary reaction transformed into tensions, because there were tensions created by certain interested parties, or people were dragged into a situation. We saw this in Aluthgama previously too. We saw it in Kandy, in Digana, and several areas. We're talking about a post-conflict era too, and we have no assurance that these tensions or these incidents won't reoccur in society. I know I've been talking and asking you about an approach for us here, but how do we bring these religions together, Venerable Thera, in order to create that unified Sri Lanka that you work so hard for, to create that compassion, loving kindness among people who are used to instigate this violence for the benefits of interested parties?
This is not an easy task. We have to work very hard, and there are like-minded religious leaders in all the religions. And what I feel, the interfaith dialogue or religious harmony, what I feel, just mere saying that your religion also is good, my religion also is good, let's live peacefully, I don't think that will work. Okay, but I feel there are problems in my religion, and you also tell, yes, it is the same here. Okay, let's, with that critical approach, then we have people from all the religious communities that who are building a kind of platform that we all can come, and meet. So that is what I emphasize. And there are such religious leaders, there are such young religious people, and if we work for 10 years, I feel there will be more people. I don't expect during my lifetime I will see the results. So during my time I don't want to, it will take 100 years sometimes. But let's start. And then, you can
Going back to education, shouldn't we be teaching our children all religions or give them an understanding of the essence of all religions?
Yes.
I know we had this, we have comparative religion as a subject back in the day. I don't know how successful that was, but shouldn't that also be, what's your opinion?
Yes, I think student has to be free, and they should be allowed to study all the religions of this country and the values upheld by those religions. Then they will be more equipped to work with different communities. And as grown-up people, what we have to do is to be example, right? While teaching, I mean, more than what we teach, children learn from what the way we our behavior. So as we are grown-up people,
Yes.
children are looking at us. Yeah.
I'd also like to, since you work with communities in the North and East, there has been a lot of backlash against attempts to commemorate the war dead in the North and East. What is your opinion about that?
Well, my philosophy is, if people are wounded, their wounds have to be healed, and let people to heal their wounds. And commemorating dead people is, I think, a basic thing for their healing, and that should not be disturbed. This is how I feel. Because that is needed for healing.
The majority community feels they are disregarded, or they're very soon losing their place in society. How would you address this this fear, unnecessary fear that is created among the majority population?
Well, I couldn't follow the question. I mean, who?
The majority community we are talking about, Sinhala Buddhist community, that fear is created among them that they are losing their place in society, that they're no longer going to be the majority, or they are now treated as the majority, that the minority issues are taken up. What answer do you have here?
Well, I like to see all these as human problem, not minority or majority. Everyone need a place, everyone need to be heard, everyone need to be accepted, and justice and opportunities. And there, I think more and more, how to make that to everyone to be part of the country or economy or job opportunity, and instead of playing the minority majority game, we as people and every child need to be educated. Every youth has the opportunity to go for a job, and how to secure that.
With that, I think we have very little time. Venerable Thera, finally, what message do you have for the people in dealing with their stress and pressure, especially at times like these? We are faced with an economic situation that needs to be handled at home and as a country together, and also among communities. You spoke at length about the work that you like to see here in Sri Lanka. But with the Walpola Rahula Institute also, I know you're doing a lot of work in teaching children, creating schools, educating them. What is your message to people here as we talk about an attitudinal change?
Well, the present moment is what is reality, this present moment, and work and do what you can do, what you have to do in the present moment, that will make a better world. And what we are facing today, the economic problem, or this is not the only thing. I mean, throughout history, the human race has faced much more severe situations, and they have come out of the. So we can, and for that, let's, without passing the ball to anyone, take the responsibility and do what what I have to do now, I will do. Don't worry about the next moment. Do what you have to do now, and next moment will be better than the present moment.
Do you have a message to our politicians, the government, opposition, the bureaucrats, those who are in power and those who are in a place to make those necessary changes?
Well, what I have to tell them, the ordinary people, they don't have the power to do certain things, but you are in the position to do something. And do your job, and it is up to you. I mean, those who are in decision-making places, you can do it. Is take this opportunity and think of as a whole, not about yourself, and don't think when the ship is drowning and your part will be survived and the other part will drown, and as a whole ship will, is that the word drown?
Drowning.
Yes, yes. So that is what I have to tell them.
Thank you very much, Venerable Thera, for making the time to be here, to be present here at Hyde Park, for sharing your views, thoughts. We are thankful that we were able to share your beliefs and your principles in creating a unified and a compassionate nation. And also to the Walpola Rahula Institute that you have founded and created. Thank you for all the work and the service that you're doing. I most respectfully request your permission to end this program.
Thank you. Thank you.
We had with us the Venerable Galkande Dhammananda Thera joining us in discussing the role of religion in Sri Lanka and today's society in combating the challenges we're faced with. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next week at the same time with yet another episode.